Hello there, I'm CJ Powers, and today we're going to talk about how to create a story for your brand or your business that is compelling. That's right, you want to make sure that you can tell a compelling story. So, what do you say that we get started here? Okay, well, we keep on trying to expand the show and improve upon it, and that's the latest version of our opener. But today is not about what we're doing with this show. Today is about what you might need. That's right. We want to focus today on how to create a brand that can come across through story so that it's memorable. So, we're going to talk about crafting your brand story in a way that it captivates, it engages, and it influences your audience. For those of you who haven't met me, I'm CJ Powers. I've been crafting stories my entire life, and I'm here to help you craft your story. And we're going to do this a little bit differently today because I'm having all kinds of technical difficulties. I have a brand new camera, new equipment, and a couple things happen to have gone wrong already. So just bear with me as we go through this. The first thing you need to do is you need to understand your why. That's right. Why are you creating your story? And why are you doing the thing you do in business so that you understand what that story needs to be about? Basically, you need to understand your why. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, Simon Sinek created something, a theory as he calls it, called the Golden Rule. And in that Golden Rule, he basically drew out three circles, kind of like a target. The target was, the inner circle, the next circle out, and the farthest circle out. In the farthest outside circle, he says that's the what of your story. The reason we start with the what on the outside, which doesn't mean it's the right thing to do, by the way, but a lot of us start there, is because we know what it is we created. So we can talk about the features and the purpose and what it is. Well, not really the purpose, but the functionality is more like it. When we move in from the what to that next circle, we're trying to get into the bullseye of the target. So the middle circle is the how. So this is how it might be able to help you, how it actually works, those kinds of things. Now what's interesting is that when Simon first came up with this, I think it was about 6-7 years ago, he basically started out talking about the fact that he had some grade school teachers and high school teachers and college teachers that all kept on telling him he's got to read these books. These are classics. You've got to read them. And he just was never motivated to actually read them. And I'm finding out here that we have all kinds of technical problems. Hold on a second here. Okay, hopefully this will help. Oh, what a day. Live TV, you can't beat it, can you? Okay, well, hopefully you've heard in some way, shape, or form, maybe not as good as you needed to have, but hopefully you've heard that we're talking about Simon Sinek's Golden Circle for this portion of our topic as we talk about how to craft a brand story that works for you. Okay, so with his circle, the outer circle was the what, the next circle in is the how, and the very center circle is the why. And he was telling this story when he came up with this theory that his teachers kept on trying to inspire him to read, and it just didn't work. they said, oh, but these books are classics and you should read this one because it impacted the world and all this kind of stuff. And none of it clicked for him. But he talked to a couple of his mentors. And within a short period of time, he was instantly reading books. Now, the key was that they said, do you want to have a really nice girlfriend? Do you want to have a business that's prospering? Do you want to have a cool looking car, etc.? And he's like, yeah, I want those things. Well, that gave him the why he needed to read the books. So he started reading the books, changed his life forever. That's how he came up with the golden circle theory. And that target, by moving into the why, is what we need to actually focus on. Same holds true for your brand story. Have you ever noticed that some companies just seem to have a story that reaches right to your heart, and as a customer you're like, oh, I need to be a part of this, and other companies it's like, I don't care who these guys are. A lot of times it's because of the focus. Some create story based on their why, and it comes from a heartfelt place. When it's just based on the facts and the figures and the functionality of the products being produced, people just can't gravitate to that very much. So we need to focus in and really determine what it is that we can do to get to the why of it. So I'm going to go over a few of those things, because your why is your purpose, it's your cause, or it's your belief. It's one of those things where it's whatever is at that heart of or the gut. We always talk about, oh, I feel it in my gut. Okay, it could be that gut moment, whatever it is in your life that really drives you to need to do something. That's what we're talking about here. Your why actually in business becomes your differentiator. That's right. It separates you from your competitors. Okay, so here's what we need to do to get started on it. You need to ask yourself some questions. It can start out really easy. Thinking about the fact that it's a Monday morning maybe, and you're getting up out of bed. Ask yourself, why am I waking up this morning? Hopefully, it's because, you can do whatever this passionate thing is called your career. Which, by the way, would be your second question. Why are you passionate about your career? What is that story behind your life that drives you to that career? For instance, with CJ's Corner, I have a passion to help people tell better stories. I grew up with stories. When I was a little kid, my dad was telling stories. I heard a story every single day of my life growing up. Many times it was more than one story. In fact, he was a police officer, and sometimes when he worked like the 3 to the 11 shift, he would come home at supper time. He'd have just a half hour. His squad car would be in the backyard, and he would come into the house, sit down. We would all gather on the dinner table, and we would eat food and share stories. Ever since I was such a little guy, I could remember hearing story after story. Now with my dad, some of the stories were pretty cool. Some of the stories were about the actual police activities that were going on that day in our town. Yes, I heard about a lot of people in town and what really was happening in their lives. But those stories were so rich, and he told them so well. It's because he had a passion for serving people. And that passion for serving people was formulated into his stories. So he always shared the stories from that point of passion. Therein lies the brand issue that you need to also find. What is your passion that can be attached to your brand that explains to the audience why this is so important to you? It's been said by thousands of people, so I don't have a quote for you. But the fact is, people don't buy products. They buy ideas from other people. You know, I was just on Amazon the other day and I ordered this new technology piece that I needed to be able to make the show a little bit better. And what I realized was I wasn't buying it because of the tech. I was buying it because a person who knew my situation and knew I wanted to improve things, he knew that I would really like what that new cable did for me, that new connector and cable set. So I bought because of him. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, well, this is going to be a very interesting show with all the technical problems we're having. My camera just popped up and said it was overheating, so it was going to shut down and cool off. Wow, I had no idea that that could happen. I think I will have to. I think I'll have to make some changes. Uh, anyway, this is my backup camera, so I can at least finish my points for you. Oh, can you believe this technology stuff? Okay, so anyway, the passion, yes, because sometimes you'll have obstacles, and the only way to overcome it is the passion inside of you. Okay, so another question you can ask isn't just of yourself. If you have employees, ask them why it is, what is their why for why they buy your products or your services. Or ask, I just said employees, they don't really buy your services, why they work for you. Employees, why they work for you. Or vendors, why they work for you. Or, check out your Facebook or whatever social media you're on and find out from those people. Just read the comments and try and determine what their why is, because there's a reason they're sticking around and they're trying to learn from you and gain your products or services. So those are things that you definitely want to check out and get involved in, so that you have that picture of what that why is. You definitely want to have that picture. Now, once you understand that picture, you have to start to craft your story in a really easy way to share it. The reason is, in social media, we are no longer a society that will sit through 8 to 12 minutes of you rambling on about functionality. It's just not going to work anymore these days. Instead, you have to grip them and grab them right away. Unlike what I've done on this show today due to all the technical problems. Oh, what can you do? Anyway, you want to create your story as simple as possible. What I like to do is I like to practice. You take that passion and then you try and write a complete story in one sentence based on that passion. For instance, I think it was Emerson or Thoreau. I don't remember who it was. One of them said that you can tell a complete story in one sentence. And if you Google that, you'll see a bunch of single sentences that he actually came up with, and others have since, that actually do tell a full story. I had one in my mind a moment ago, but due to all the technical problems, I have forgotten it. So I'm not going to be able to share that with you today. But you can Google it. It's something simple where you have a protagonist in the story, your main character. You have an obstacle that they've faced and some kind of pending doom or outcome. And that can all just be one sentence. The one I was thinking of was something about um, you know, next to the casket was a pair of unused red slippers. That kind of thing. Clearly, that tells an entire story. When you do that with whatever your passion is, hopefully it's a positive story, you'll be able to start creating a path for yourself to build on that. So you take that one sentence, you turn it into a paragraph so it's more clear and understandable. But the goal is to keep it simple. You should be able to tell your story in a matter of 1 or 2 sentences, maybe 3 or 4, but usually 1 or 2. You gotta stay a little bit more high level, but you have to find that heartfelt moment and make sure it's in the story, because that is the key. The other thing you want to look for is an aha moment. In other words, if you're talking about a business situation, you want to talk about from the standpoint of, what is it that they need from you as a business? And if the story touches on what that need is and how your product is the solution for that need, all the better. If, as you're talking about the obstacles, you give a twist in your storyline, a little twist in the plot, where all of a sudden things seem to go a different direction that's more profoundly positive for them, and behind that is your solution, that's even better. We call those aha moments. If you can find your aha moment, build your story so that all of a sudden the audience is like, oh, I get it. The reason you want them to get it instead of you telling them what the answer is because if they come up with the answer and realize your product is that, you've already closed the deal because they've already decided they want it. But if you tell them the product is their aha moment, they may or may not believe you. So you want to craft your story in a way where they actually go, I need your product. Therein lies the key to a successful brand story. Getting them to decide without you telling them that they need your product. Well, unfortunately, today has been a technical nightmare, and there's not much else we can do at this point. So for now, I'm just going to say until next Saturday at 8:30 Central Time, I'll see you then.